What's up, guys? Here we are going to be working on a Drz400. We're going to be changing out the water, I'm sorry, not the water, the oil pump with the Suzuki. There's the factory number 16400-929FOO. We have the secondary oil pump, the gears. We have the check valve that we will be replacing as well, and that's 3 different parts. That will be a spring, a little rubber thingamabob, and a ball. That's going to be the check valve. And then we have a seal to do for the clutch. Clutch was having problems spewing oil at the seal. So we're going to be changing out all of those parts. As of right now, I have pulled the foot brake off, and we will be starting on removing the rest. First time doing something like this for you guys, so don't know how this is going to actually turn out. I don't replace anything with the torque, with the impact, just to remove. Oil has already been drained out. Alright. Water pump has already been drained. Actually, I don't even think we have to take that off. I'm going to put that all back together. That one I know we gotta take off. Again, do not reinstall parts with your impact. Always install parts hand done. If it's not going in by hand, you do not have it in right. Most all bolts should go in by hand. This definitely has to come off. I am one of those guys that work with what you got. So you'll see me use different tools for different things because it's right next to me. Okay, there's that. Let's go ahead and uninstall all these bolts. I am not a professional. I do not try to say I am. All right. take note on where all these bolts are coming out of. How long they are, and which position they came out of. Try to lay them down in a order that you're able to repeat on the install. Alright, now we have all of the bolts out. And I also have a little bin that I like to put everything in. You know, be very organized. It's very helpful when you go to put everything back together. And if you're doing a full rebuild, do a labeling. Always do labeling and do just speeding it up. I did not do any actual cranking on that. Alright. Oh, there it goes. Should come off easy, guys. If you're having a problem getting this off, do not take a screwdriver to the edges. There are little pry areas in different spots. There's one, here's the other, and here's another. Do not take a screwdriver to the edges. That is very bad. Cleanliness will be very crucial in this. Okay. So this is what we're going for right here. So we got to remove this guy to get to this. So let's have some fun. When you go to tighten these up, make sure that you do little bits at a time and you do a cross pattern. Also note, one of these shims is different than all these other ones. So when you go to put it all back together, one needs to be off than the other. Okay, I'm gonna go get an impact for the rest of these. All right, socket size is 5mm. And these springs do not matter as long as they are all in and torque to the right specification. They do not have to go in the same spot. Okay. Now we are going to pull our clutch cover plate. Give a nice inspection on your clutches at this point. Okay. So now we're going to need a screwdriver. And we're going to need to bang back these pieces right here. Straight. Alright, be very careful. Make sure all your tools are nice and wiped and cleaned. I like to use my dead blow hammer instead of my regular hammer for stuff like this. So if I do slip off, I don't damage anything. It's less of a damage. Okay, and there we have it. There's that part. Now what we'll do is get this nut undone, and we'll pull this whole assembly out as one. And then after that, be very careful with this. When you go to pull it out, you don't lose anything, and it all stays in the same position. For something like this, you're going to want to use an impact. Make sure you're in reverse, and this is a 27 millimeter. Drop them. Now you want to stuff a rag in between here and here. And you want to try to hold that like that. Here's our nut. our washer. Keep those guys together. And make sure that your washer and your nut go the right way. There is two different ways to this nut. This nut is the back, that is the front. Now we just slide that off like that. Now we have access to everything we need, right? So, this guy needs to come off. This guy needs to come off. Okay, so now we are at the point where we need to remove this gear. So we need to get these pliers. I think they're called ring pliers. Mine actually go both ways. Pull that clip off. Slide that guy off, put him on top the way it came off. That way you know which way this gear goes. Set it down on your parts bin. Give your tools a wipe. And we're going to go for this guy now. Again, pull it off. Slide your gear out. Put it on top the way it goes. These go together, so they go together. Now you have a washer right here, so don't forget that guy because you're going to need it on your new part. Come on, sweetheart. Make sure if you're going to use a magnet that you clean it off. Make sure it's all clean. There it is. There it is. Give it a wipe down before and after and put it with that tool. Now we got 3 screws that we got to get out, and they're Phillips. You got 2 options. A number 3 Phillips. Again, make sure it's clean. which that takes some force. What I like is this guy, the manual impact. Before impacts were impacts. And you make sure that you're going in the right direction because it goes two ways, this way and this way. And you want to pull it backwards, kind of push into it a little bit. Make sure you're in that head all the way. And give it a couple whacks and it will come out. Again, with the same thing with this one. Push into it. Make sure you're in the head all the way. And there she is. Now, last but not least is the last one. There it is. Now, you do not want to strip these. So, take your time and get it right. We definitely have some wear in here, some little scrapes all over, so it's a pretty good idea we did this. Now at this point, what you want to do is go ahead and clean everything up. Now the blue shop rags are better to use on stuff like this. However, I do not have them. So we're just going to use our regular paper towels. And we're just going to give them a clean up. Make sure you get any antifreeze that came out of that little hole right there out. And now we're going to grab our oil pumps. Yes, I said pumps. There are 2 of them. You wouldn't know it, but this is one pump right here, how it spins around like that. It creates a pressure and it pushes the oil through. And then the inside here actually has a pump as well. So, with that being said, oh yeah, look at all those scores right there, all the scoring right here. It's definitely time. This engine has 23,000 miles on this DRZ. So it's definitely a time to go. These are all genuine Suzuki parts. new oil pump. Definitely want to put a little bit of oil on the pump as we put it in. Dot to the outside. We're going to go ahead and put some assembly lube on all this part. And the dot faces into the engine. A little dot into the engine. Remember, people, do not force anything. Just get it on there very easily. Everything should go together without having major issues. If there's major issues, then there is something going on. Okay, now we're going to take our screws. We do not need our impact piece. Get every single screw in before tightening down anything all the way. And there we have the two oil pumps have now been replaced. What we'll do now is get our gears all back together. You do not need to use the hammer impact. That's too tight. Okay, so we're going to go with our gear here. Make sure you wipe off your washer. That slides in. Next, you want to get your pin. Wipe that guy off. Slide it into there. You grab your gear, wipe it off. Now that goes on. And now we have our clip ring. Wipe it off. Slip her on, top first, and your bottom will slide in after. Now, you want to make sure that that clip is all the way in and seated. If that comes off, we're having problems. Okay. Next, you want to get your next gear. Wipe it all down. Make sure it's all nice and clean. Remember which way it went. It went this way. Line up your teeth. Slide her down. Next, you're going to take your C-clip, whatever this is. We're going to push it in. And clip it on. From this point, we now need to clean off all this edges before we move on any further. There are quite a few different methods on how to do this. They say don't take aluminum, a razor blade to aluminum, but as long as you're careful, I've never had a problem. You don't want to make scrapes or anything, so every time you get done with a certain spot, what you're going to want to do is just kind of wipe it down. I'm going to get off all the gasket and make it a nice clean aluminum case. Again, take your time on this. If you rush it, you will not get it right. I like to take these little dowels out, get around it, and then put it back in. Just let the razor blade do the work. Again, this is a very slow process, and this is what you mainly pay your mechanics for, because they're willing to take this time and do this the right way. Again, I am not a professional mechanic, I am a backyard mechanic. Well, because this one's so easy to get to, we're just going to leave that dowel in, and we're able to get to this. There's some of them like this, where the engine or this frame's in the way, it's easier to get the dowel out. But this one we really don't need to. After it's all said and done, it should be looking like this, super clean. Now we go and we do this one, the same thing. And for this one, I like to keep it on the downwards, so I'll move this case cover around a little bit with me a few times. And I'm just going to take it in time, scrape this all away. Try not to make any big gouges in your aluminum, as oil can get by on those gouges. So always keep that in mind, taking your time. You cannot pronunciate that enough. Just because you're going back and forth and you don't see much coming off does not mean you're not getting it off. You are. When we get done with this, we're going to give it a good bath before we put it back together. Oh. Alright, we're about halfway. We started right here. We worked our way all the way around. Let me show you. Worked all the way to here. So from here to here, I just have all this more to go. That's how long it takes. It does take some time. And all that came off. Remember, keep your razor blade nice and clean. Even though it doesn't look like all that much. Make sure you wipe it down every single time you're done scraping. carb cleaner is always better than brake cleaner if you have it. It doesn't hurt the seals as bad. But if all you got is brake cleaner, then that's all we got. Make sure you get it nice and everything cleaned out. Wear glasses, safety goggles, whatever you need to do to get that done and all clean like this. See how that's all nice and clean? Pretty much ready for install. We have the check valve that we're going to be replacing now on this. All right. Let's go ahead and put these out of our way. Whoa. Okay. So the check valve is 3 different parts. You have a spring, a little rubber piece, and a ball. Those create the check valve. Okay, same thing like always. Be very careful of the case. So it goes in with the curved area to the ball. Then we have our ball. And last but not least will be our spring. Okay, now that we have that out, I'm going to give it a quick wipe. A spray, I mean. Alright, so let's grab our new parts. We're going to need our spring first. I don't believe it matters which way the spring goes in, just the spring first. And now we're going to go with our ball. And now we're going to go with our rubber stopper thingamabob. I like saying that, thingamabob. Alright, beveled edge inwards, flat edge out. Give it a little oil. Don't need very much, just need a little bit of. Alright, now that that's done, I do believe we are ready to install our clutch again. Let's get rid of our parts that we did already. Alright, first things first is our clutch basket. There we go. Make sure that these two gears seat all the way. Alright, now your washer. Now you're going to put in your clutch with clutch steel, all the way until you have no more. remember, that last one is off. Now, before you go and do this piece, you're going to need to put in the washer and the nut. Alright, I don't know the torque spec, so we're just going to give it a little zappity. And now we will take our flathead and rebend the two spots that are bent, that we bent. That's one. I like to do two, just so I know that I'm safe. There's no way this thing's gonna back out. And there you have it. There are the two right there. Now for this guy, I almost forgot about earlier too. Again, everything, make sure that you're wiping off and is clean when going back in. Just because it was out for a couple minutes does not mean it didn't pick up any dirt. Alright. Now we go and put this guy back on. Now, each one of these Now, just getting these started doesn't really matter if you go around in a circle or if you go one side to the other, like a car tire. However, when you go to put them and tighten them down, it does. But just to get them started, it doesn't matter which way you go. And now I'm going to use the impact just to make sure that I can get it done faster. You go a little bit like that, like that. You do not want to tighten one down and then go to the next one. You want to do these all in a series. Alright, and now at this point, you want to tighten them. There is a torque spec, I don't know it. I just know by feel, because I've been doing this for so long. And double check all your bolts are nice and tight. Once you got them all tight, go back around and just go ahead and keep doing like a star on a car wheel pattern. Alright. At this point, we are done with all that. So it's now time for the gasket. Yeah, I'm pretty sure now it's time for the gasket. We put that on. And we are so close to being done, people. This bike has been down now a week. And it drives me nuts when it's down. This is my therapist. And my therapists don't like to be not seen. On other DRZs, I heard this ball coming loose and causing a rattle. Now we put our gasket on, and we made sure that it fits right. So now we're going to go ahead and get our side case on. Again, everything should fit together very smoothly. There should be no banging on any of this. And then you start from your one side that you came off of. Let me go around the opposite way. That's how I have all these bolts set up. Alright, now that you have all your bolts back in the positions they were, you're going to take your 8mm and you're going to snug everything down hand tight first. I do like to do a cross pattern Usually working from the middle outwards. Alright, so now, again, I don't do torque specs really, I've just been doing this for so long, you know what's up. On some projects, what I like to do is put like a mark on the ones I've already done, so I don't mistake them for ones that I still need to do. Although even if I do, I still would know because of how tight they are. Like I said, once you've been doing this for so long, you just kind of know what's up. Alright, that should be all of them. Gonna go double check. Usually once you get the outers, it goes a little bit more, but nothing too much. And when checking on these, you can just go ahead and do a rotating motion so you don't forget any. Oh, see, so that way you knew where you forgot. Alright, looks good. Flop your oil filter in. Make sure your point is up. These are 10mm bolts. I went and did a leak down test off camera, and that is my problem. I am going to be needing a top end pretty soon. Burning oil and hearing it air through the bottom. Alright, last but not least is our brake foot lever. And for this is always fun. There we go. Now you have a washer in between the frame and the foot lever. Don't forget to put that back in. Make sure you do not strip this as well, as your foot lever could be pulling you or now snug, all good to go. You have a cotter pin on the back side of this brake lever. Do not forget it. That entails that your foot does not come undone. Foot brake does not come undone, and you lose no brake, and you have no brakes. And that's pretty much it for the oil pump. pumps, I'm sorry, and check valve. Pretty easy. Nothing hard at all. Oh, that's Phillips. Thank you very much for watching, and if you like the video, definitely give the subscribe a like and give me a subscribe. Hit the notification button. Now we are going to do is put some oil in it. Oh wait, I got seal to do. I got a little bit more to do, I guess.
Stop filming.
Yeah, I'm done filming.
Let's do a blinking light.